you're looking for a compact car that's fun to drive, this is the one that I recommend to you because it is a lot of fun. What's up, everybody? Today we are test driving a 2022 Honda Civic Sport. And I chose a little bit of a twisty road for this particular test drive because the Civic has always had the reputation as sort of the sportiest of all the compact cars as far as handling is concerned, and I think that's a reputation that it's earned. This is the newest version of the Civic, and as soon as I started driving this car, I've been driving it for a couple of days now, just immediately the steering feel to it really inspires a lot of confidence. The chassis comes to the curves in a nice planted way. It definitely does have a sporty feel to it. I'm in sport mode now for the transmission. It is a standard CVT transmission, which may garner some controversy amongst people. For some reason, they don't build this car with a stick shift. And I think the reason probably is that people don't really buy them with stick shifts anymore, unfortunately. But that is what it is. I have the drive setting set to the sport mode, which doesn't make a huge difference. It basically just tells the transmission to keep the engine at a higher RPM. So it does feel a little bit faster, but it also makes a little bit more noise and burns a little bit more gas. So that's that. If you put it in econ mode, it acts like a pure CVT. You never feel any fake shifts. If you put it in sport mode or the normal mode, then it will give you some fake shifts, which kind of annoys me with CVTs, but that's okay. The Sport Civic comes with the 2-liter 158 horsepower engine. You can get this car with a 1.5 liter turbo that has more power, but you have to get either the EX or the Touring models to get that more powerful engine. I don't know why they didn't put it in the Sport. It seems like if you're going to call a car a Sport, it might make sense to give it a little bit more power, but I honestly think that, you know, this is really truly just a sport in name only, which is becoming very common these days amongst automakers. You put the big black wheels on it, you put black mirror caps, you put black trim around the side windows, and bingo, it's a sport. And that's literally what they did with this one. It's got that stuff, and it's got a little bit of extra equipment on top of the base LX Civic, and there we go. We're in a Sport. And everybody's figuring out what to do at this junction here. This guy in a convertible Porsche out for a Saturday morning drive. My only real criticism of the driving experience of this car, and it's not even really a criticism, it's more of an observation, it's not the smoothest riding of all the compact cars, but it does have some of the best handling, and the ride isn't bad in a Civic. It's just not, you know, you feel the road a little bit more in this car, which is fine. It's a sportier car, and you kind of can't have things every possible way. And it is a little bit noisy. I'm currently doing about 55 miles an hour over not the best road, so you could hear some of the road noise there. You do get a little bit of tire noise and a little bit of noise through the chassis. Doesn't sound like they put a ton of sound deadening in here. You can hear the engine. It's not obtrusive, and it's also not all that yeah. It's not a great sounding engine. Like, it sounds good, but not great. And the fact of the matter is that modern engines are typically made, at least for a car like this, it's made to work with the CVT, which means low-end torque and not necessarily revving. That's 4,000. Yeah, I put it back into normal mode, not sport mode, because we're kind of constrained with what we can do with the car. Oh my God. There's a guy with an interesting bicycle there. That's 65 miles an hour if you want to get an idea for the road noise. That was that. Here's some guys fixing a telephone pole. If you're a large person, the seat, at least in this sport model, might not be to your liking. I'm a relatively big guy, and it hugs me a little bit. I can live with it, but if you are a person who takes up a lot of space, this seat might not be the best thing for you. But if you're a smaller person and you like the feeling of being hugged by your car seat, then you will like it. I do love the steering in this car. Since electric power steering has become so common amongst automakers, we've lost a lot of steering feel, and a classic hydraulic power steering rack probably would give you better feel than this, but this is definitely way above average as far as steering feel for a modern car. One of the cars in my fleet is a 2020 Subaru Impreza, which would be a direct competitor to this Civic, and I think the Impreza's chassis probably handles as well as this Civic, but the steering feel is so much worse on that Subaru that it takes you a while to kind of get accustomed to it and get comfortable with what the car can do. Whereas in this, as soon as you start driving it, the first curve you take, you just kind of feel comfortable with it, like, oh, okay, I get it, I get it. The acceleration's fine. The fuel economy's honestly kind of a disappointment. I did a highway fuel economy test on this car where I just kind of drove it pretty much pure highway, and I came back with a 37.5 miles per gallon real world figure that I measured by, filling up the tank, resetting the odometer, filling it up again, and doing the math. And that's a half a mile per gallon better than what the EPA rates it at, but it's really not all that impressive as far as what I feel like a car like this should be getting in this day and age, especially considering the fact that, this is not, as far as acceleration goes, any kind of a performance model. This is just your average Honda Civic. do my favorite funky little turnaround right here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of open road. Feel the power. Yeah, there's the engine at full throttle. Let's put it back into sport, get the revs up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, this definitely, if you're looking for a compact car that's fun to drive, this is the one that I recommend to you, because it is a lot of fun. It feels like it comes alive at higher speeds, and it's just happier there. So if you fancy yourself a bit of a driver, the new Civic might be the way for you to go, because it's not even really breaking a sweat here. There's that guy on that wacky recumbent bicycle again. Rewind and look at that, if it showed up on the camera. There's a guy in an Audi. Pulled over to check his own ego. So anyway, that is my test drive video on the 2022 Honda Civic Sport. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you get one of these, or if you have one of these, I hope you like your car. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, put a comment, this and that. Have a great day. Bye-bye.